I don't know whose idea it was to bring out two Paranormal Activity spoofs this year, but whoever's idea that was, here is a haunted house, or as I like to call it, Scary Movie 6. So I gotta say, the movie isn't as bad as you're led to believe, but it's still pretty bad. Let's start off with the positives. Yeah, it's a lot funnier than Scary Movie 5, which isn't saying much because Scary Movie 5, it had its funny parts, a few funny parts involving Caesar from Rise of the Planet of the Apes, uh, Charlie Sheen, and then that's about it. But yeah, it did have its funny parts. And the Haunted House has a lot more funny parts than Scary Movie 5 did. But I think we've got too many like sort of horror spoofs, and again spoofing Paranormal Activity. And I know this came out before Scary Movie 5 in America, but it's only just come out in Britain, and I've only just seen it. So yeah, I would have reviewed it ages ago. But yeah, I gotta say it's still pretty bad, and they could have Marlon Wayans is funny. He can be funny, and he is funny in this film, in certain parts of this film. There's some sort of laugh out loud bits, but you won't find yourself laughing at every turn, like the likes of sort of Superbad, and even the first Scary Movie. That was a very funny film, but they kind of ruined it as they went on, and the sequels have just turned out to be just crap. But this isn't a Scary Movie sequel, so But although it's not a Scary Movie sequel, it's hard not to compare it to Scary Movie because it uses the same formula, and it's still a spoof, and it's still kind of unfunny, and they still use repeated jokes. There's a lot of like fart jokes like you get in all the spoof movies. There's a lot of jokes involving penises, and they just think, oh, what joke do we put in? Hey, let's put in something to do with a penis because that's hilarious, and nobody's seen that, even though we've seen it 20 million times in other movies, and it works in some movies. But with spoof movies, you've got to have a sort of element, because we watch movies and we see sort of like throwbacks to different movies. Like, for example, say The Hangover 3, right? If you've seen that, that's a fairly new movie. You'll know that that it spoofs Shawshank Redemption in the beginning, and that was kind of funny to see that. Although it was taken straight from that movie, and Hangover's not a spoof, it was funny to see that. But with A Haunted House and Scary Movie 5 and films like this, it's just all round unfunny because we get funny parts, we laugh a bit, but we've seen it in the other movies, and the other movies did it better because they were actually, if parts were supposed to be funny in that movie, they were funny. Or for example, Paranormal Activity. I'm not a fan of Paranormal Activity, so I'm not going to say they were good because I don't think they were. What I'm saying, films like Paranormal Activity, when they're trying to do like scary things, or if they throw in a bit of comedy, we know that, and it's not forced at us like it is with Haunted House. The comedy is just forced at us. I mean, I'll say Marlon Wayans is a funny guy. We've seen him be funny, and as I've mentioned before, he is funny in this movie. But I think he sort of should move on to like appearing in actual comedies instead of just spoofing things. I know that he's always been in spoof movies. He was in the first two Scary Movie films, which I thought were quite funny. But he's never done a comedy like sort of that isn't spoofing anything. He's never done a proper full out comedy, which people would find funny, which I think he should because he is kind of talented. I'm saying kind of because, well, he's not, but he's funny. He can be funny in other movies without spoofing. I mean, I will say it isn't like a shit film like the critics are saying. It's not like absolutely terrible. It doesn't deserve all of the sort of shit that it's getting from critics. The way they're going, oh, it's terrible and everything, it's worse than Scary Movie 5. It's not worse than Scary Movie 5. I will say it is a hell of a lot better than Scary Movie 5. And I can think of some funny parts off the top of my head. With Scary Movie 5, all I can think of is Charlie Sheen and Caesar the Ape, which, Charlie Sheen wasn't all that funny because he's spoofing things what happened to him a long time ago. With The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, again, it's just spoofing a movie which we've seen and which done it better, apart from it wasn't a comedy. And that's also what I don't get. They spoof movies which aren't like horrors in the Scary Movie films. But what I did like about Haunted House is that they stuck solely to horror, which is good. And I found one of the funniest parts for me was when Marlon Wayans and his wife, I can't really remember her name. No, it wasn't his wife. It was his girlfriend or whatever. When they're smoking a joint with the ghost, that's what I found funny about this film. Like stuff like that, you know. I like drug humor, and you know, and I found that funny. Like, you know, it's never been seen in a movie before. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was sort of original, although it was still spoofing. And I like things like that where they spoof movies, but they are original about it and do stuff what wasn't in the original film. With Scary Movie, they don't do that, so that's what I will praise A Haunted House for. They do, like, you know, spoof movies, and they don't just take scenes straight from movies and put them into their movie, which was good. But still, in the end, A Haunted House isn't a great movie. It's, you know, pretty bad, and, you know, it's just unoriginal. I'm not going to say it was unfunny, because I did find some of it pretty funny. But it's definitely better than Scary Movie 5, and at least when Marlon Wayans dies, he doesn't have to howl on his grave. I appeared in Scary Movie 5. I appeared in A Haunted House. That's what I mean, he didn't have to... You know what I mean? And, yeah, A Haunted House is definitely 10 times funnier than Scary Movie 5. I'm not going to recommend you see it, like, straight away. I'd recommend seeing it, you know, if you've got Sky Movies, wait for it to come out on that, or even rent it on DVD or Blu-ray. I would recommend that if you want, you know, some laughs and some comedy. But I wouldn't recommend rushing out to buy it or rushing out to see it in the cinema. And I'm going to end up giving it 2 stars out of 5, which sounds pretty bad, but I did enjoy some of this movie. And yeah, so what do you think of Haunted House? Do you prefer that to Scary Movie 5, or is Scary Movie 5 your favourite parody this year? If it is, you're a fucking idiot. I'm just joking. If you like Scary Movie 5, I respect that. Subscribe. Thanks for watching. And remember, if you like what you see, subscribe and like my Facebook page. The link, as always, is on my channel. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.